am really excited to bring cartoonist Walt Carr onto our show, onto our program today, who's also rocking some, actually, he's not rocking red. I think you're rocking orange. Is that correct, Walt?
You're absolutely correct.
And
Orange for Morgan State University.
Morgan State, orange and, is it orange and blue?
Orange and blue.
That's
You can't
right.
see here's the blue.
Exactly, Morgan State. And you're an alum of Morgan, right?
Yes, I graduated in 1955. It was Morgan State College when I left. It's now Morgan State
Wow.
University.
When you went to Morgan, what did you plan to be in life? What were you going there to major in and to become?
Well, I was quite like most freshmen, really undecided. Because I played sports, I thought I wanted to be a physical education major, but I switched to art education. And only to find out after 4.5 years that I didn't think I was quite cut out to be a teacher. And I wound up actually teaching. My first job working at Aberdeen Proving Grounds as an
Wow.
instructor with the military.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a sort of a weird route to becoming a cartoonist. How did you get on that path?
Well, I've been drawing ever since I first picked up a pencil, to be honest. As a matter of fact, my mother saved everything, including my report cards. And in the teacher's comments section, they had Walter spends too much time doodling in his notebook. So I've always been drawing as from a kid, and stayed with it. And actually wound up being recommended to go to the Philadelphia Museum of Art for Saturday art classes. And of course, when I got to Morgan, I did change to art education as a major.
Mm-hmm. So you've been doing this now for, gosh, what, 56 years it's been?
I keep hearing 50, but it's over 60.
Over 60 years.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And do you remember the first time you got, not as an educator, but as a cartoonist, do you remember the first time you got paid for it?
Yeah, it was actually something I did for the Afro-American newspaper when I was in my early 20s, I'm sure. And of course, then when I got to work at Social Security Administration in their art department, that's when I really began to grow as a cartoonist and actually began to send cartoons out to magazines in hopes of being published.
And your first publication, was that in the Afro or where?
Yeah,
some
and
of the
the
places
Afro was the first drawing I
Okay.
did, was a little spot illustration. And I think I was working in recreation at that time.
Uh-huh.
Because I worked in recreation for 4 years after leaving Aberdeen Proving Grounds. And then I started working in the graphics section at Social Security Administration in 1960. And of course, my art portfolio was one of the main reasons I got that job as an illustrator. And of course, I got an opportunity to do a lot of cartooning, illustration, and also learning about graphic design. I didn't know beans about graphic design. I used to tell people going to work was like getting paid to eat ice cream, because I was learning on the job about publication, graphic design, layout, and design. I hadn't done any of that before.
Wow, wow. So, we're in day, 4 of Black History Month, and your cartoons are not limited to the story of Black lives during the month of February. You do this all year long and have been doing it for decades. So why do you feel it's important to show particularly how political issues impact the Black community and our condition in America?
Well, hopefully I'm not only sharing my ideas and thoughts with regard to the political landscape to Black readership. I'm hoping whites get to see it too, because that was the reason why I started doing editorial cartoons, is you never saw the Black spin or the Black point of view in political cartoons on the editorial pages of mainstream press. And I decided when I retired, I think I started back in 93, because the Washington Informer and the Pittsburgh Courier are two of my oldest clients, really. And I wanted to display our spin, our take on issues that impact us. And everything impacts us, but you never hear about how we feel about it. And so I chose to do it visually.
And do you think, I mean, has it impact? I know, you know, these cartoons normally, or editorial cartoons usually fall on the editorial pages of newspapers. And so there's a lot of commentary there. I'm trying to flip here now to show the one that ran this week in the Informer. I've got that up here. You want to talk about this a little bit? If you can remember it, it says, because I know you do quite a few, but it says, kids are wiser than a lot of adults. And here a kid is saying to, and these look like white folks too, don't hide it from me. Let me learn from it. And it looks like he's talking to, talking about U.S. history, and he's talking to a representative from the school board, saying,
Yeah,
don't hide it from me. Let me learn from it. Talk about that a
that
little bit.
that was my take on this critical race theory
Race theory. Mm-hmm.
that you keep hearing about. And white folks continue to want to whitewash our history. I mean, history itself is, I break history down very simply. History happened. And I think the kids are better suited to know the truth about what happened. I think too many whites are concerned about their kids feeling guilty about their heritage and their white forefathers and the like. I don't want the kids to feel guilty. I just want them to know the history, what actually happened, pure and simple. And I think they'll be much wiser for that. And they're going to be, I think, a much better citizen for knowing the truth and seeing change, and also knowing that more change is still required, pure and simple. So that's what that was all about. Don't hide it from me. Let me learn. Knowledge is
I've
power.
Exactly. I've been studying a lot. I do it every year, and every year I learn more and more about Dr. Carter G. Woodson and why he established Black History or Negro History Week so many years ago. And he is considered the father of Black History Month. And we're honored, you know, to have the fact that he was from this area, taught in local schools, and his home is a historic landmark here in the District of Columbia. And you sound a lot like him when you're talking about, you know.
I'm almost as old as he is, probably.
Well, I
Even though
don't
he's
think so.
gone.
Well, yeah, yeah. But, you know, I mean, how do you, you know, what do you feel the impact of your cartoons have been? I mean, you're talking about retiring now, and there are only a handful of, you know, Black cartoonists in this country. I know that you were on a panel not too long ago with a couple of them.
Right.
You know, your voice is going to be missed through your cartoons, and who's there to pick up the mantle?
Well, there are a lot of aspiring cartoonists of color out there. Trust me. There are various and numerous platforms that they can display their work on rather than newsprint. Because unfortunately, right now, there are only about three, I think three Black cartoonists in mainstream press. And that's, you know, Ray Billingsley, the creator of Curtis, who just won the Rubens Award from the National Cartoonist Society in the 75th year. He's the first Black to win that award. It's like the Academy Awards for cartoonists.
Wow.
And then there's Darren Bell, who draws Canterville, which he lays into a lot of political stuff. And he's in the Washington Post 7 days a week, 5 dailies and Sunday. And then there's Rob Armstrong, who does a strip called Jump Street. But they're out there. We've cracked the door, but it's incredible. After all of these years, we're still not as big as we should be. I mean, the Washington Post has, I think, 43 comic strips with only 2 of them Black. The Baltimore Sun has 22 comic strips and only 1 Black strip. So there's a lot of work to be done. We're trying to crack that paper ceiling, not the glass ceiling, but the paper ceiling, and it's still ongoing.
I'm often wonder, I heard you all talking about him the other day because he got so much publicity back in the past, and I can't think of his name right now, but the author of, or the cartoonist who did Boondocks.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Aaron Magruder.
Right.
I don't know what's happened. I know he made one of the biggest splashes in syndicated comics when he first came out. There's a lot of controversy because he was spot on in his assessment of the hypocrisy that we've been dealing with for decades. And then he went into animation and was only coming on. He left the syndicate, moved to LA, left the syndicate, and was doing something on television. But I don't know what his situation is right now.
Yeah, yeah. We have to search him out and find out. You know, we don't want to forget those folks who've made those big splashes. Like you, he's made Black history as well. So, you know, what are some of the issues, and we're going to close out with this, but, you know, if you were looking at this year, what are some of the things that you think you will be addressing in some of your editorial cartoons? Political
Well, what I've
issues,
tried to
social
do,
issues.
as you well know, is to focus on the many Black issues that we have been dealing with for decades. As a matter of fact, because Black papers only come out once a week now, they used to come out twice a week. I remember I sold papers in Philly and Baltimore, and Tuesdays and Fridays. But because I only get 52 shots, as I like to say, I try not, particularly in the last 13 months, I don't want to give Trump any more oxygen than I possibly can, because there's so many issues that we deal with in the Black community, you know, police brutality, health care access, schools, civil rights. I want to devote most of my remaining time, to issues that really only have to deal with us and our issues and problems. The struggle continues, and I'm going to keep swinging that bat as long as I can. But I just want to stay with issues that really, really are essential to our existence and our survival.
Fantastic. You're going to retire soon, I hear.
Yeah, my old peoples are getting my eyesight has something to do with it. I'll be 90 this year if I'm fortunate enough to be around in August.
No one would have guessed that. I'll tell you that all the time. You know, you hide your age well.
I hear that a lot. But I know I'm blessed. But I'm actually tired. Yeah. Because I go to sleep thinking about a gag idea. I lay in the bed in the morning trying to think of a gag idea. And as you well know, I send out 2 or 3 cartoons a week, knowing that most papers are only going to print one. But I just want to get them out of my head and onto the paper.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We certainly do appreciate the contributions that you've made, particularly to the Black press and the Black cause. And we're going to savor every moment we have with your cartoons until you decide to put down the pen and wish us goodbye.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me and being a part of this. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All righty. All righty. Enjoy and take care.